I will spotlight for everyone so they can enjoy seeing a buzzard while we get everything going. And then we will start. Spring.
Lawrence, my buzzard just left, so I'm going to relocate myself.
Of course it did. Of course your buzzard left. All right. Hi, everyone. Nadav, before we crack... Oh, he's gone. What buzzard was that again? I can't remember. Alan?
It was a step buzzard.
It's a step buzzard. There he goes.
Step buzzard, yeah.
Yes, it was a steppy buzzard. I'll write it in the chat, step, and I'll write it for everyone. A step buzzard. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for everyone for shouting out where you are from. Oh, hi, Jay in Tel Aviv. Hi, Joy and John in Chicago, Ellie in Cape Cod, Barbara in Binghamton. I'm sure I butchered that one. Colin in Exeter, Miriam in London, Jessica, Buzzard, Patricia in Winnipeg. Hi, everyone. I see we're filling up, but it is 5 o'clock. So we're, oh, nice. I was really excited someone was in Australia, but it's just Sydney and Renana. Hi, everyone. Really excited to have you with us today. I'm going to highlight myself. My name is Lawrence Kazmir. I'm the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. We are here with you with our Spring Migration 2 webinar for the second wave of the spring migration. I live in Modi'in and I've been really, really fortunate to have been enjoying migrating birds for the last few days. I've been seeing storks, black kites, and possibly some eagles or buzzards. I'm here with you from with the BirdLife Israel team. So we have Alen and Amir in Jerusalem, Jonathan Meirav also in Jerusalem, but elsewhere. The Doves in North, and Noam is in Eilat. We're here with you from the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel, Israel's oldest and largest environmental NGO or charity. If you want to find us online, you can do so at www.natureisrael.org. That's one word, natureisrael.org. And our birds team is birds, one word, birds.org.il. And they have an English translation of their website. So you can find that easily. If you're enjoying our webinar, if you're enjoying this webinar and want to find out about more of our activities and future webinars, you can do so at either of our websites by signing up to our newsletter. If you've enjoyed this and want to help us protect Israel's bird life and want to get involved in bird conservation, you can do so by making a charitable donation. We have tax deductibility in the US, Canada, the UK, and Israel. And you can do so by selecting the right currency when you check out, and you'll magically get a receipt. Just before we start, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone in our community who contacted me in the last few weeks with the birth of my son, who's just gone back inside. I really appreciate it. I never would have thought when we started doing this a year ago that I've been in personal contact with so many of you, and so many of you decided to take time out of your busy lives and get in touch with me. So I really, really appreciate that. Just a bit of housekeeping. Alen, who is with us in Jerusalem, is going to be in charge of writing the bird names down in the chat, so you don't have to ask. I'm in charge of the camera today, but if you have any questions, either write it in the chat or write it in the Q&A. The Q&A is probably a bit easier for everyone to see the answers. And Alen will do the hard ones and I'll do the easy ones. And without further ado, I think I'm going to throw to Amir, who hopefully is with us and finished eating his watermelon in Jerusalem, in the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. Amir is the co-founder of the Nili and David Jerusalem Bird Observatory and has recently returned from being the first person to go from northern to southern Israel on an electric scooter. Amir, hello, and it's over to you.
Hello, everybody from Jerusalem. My name is Amir Balaban. I'm one of the founders of the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. And I'm very happy to host this Zoom session from Jerusalem amidst a blistering, very, very, very hot spring day. I think we've broken this spring's record. We're over 37 degrees centigrade. And it's really, really, really hot. So it might be officially spring, but it feels like midsummer. Today, we're going to have a very interesting program for you. We'll start off with Dan Alon, the head of the IOC, to open up this program. We have our best birders spread all over Israel. We have Nadav, one of our favorite broadcasters in the north. Jonathan Meirav is in the Gazelle Valley, and maybe he will also be in the Jerusalem Botanical Garden if we'll have time. We'll be showing you some of the things happening here in the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. And Noam will be with us today too, from Eilat. Wow, if it's hot in Jerusalem, you can imagine how hot it is in Eilat. So before we start, a few words from our head honcho, Dan Alon. And we'll see you soon.
Morning in America, Europe. I'm here at the Nili and David Jerusalem Bird Observatory at the Ariel House, where we do the ringing. As Amir said, it's one of our hottest day this spring. On the way here, I saw a flock of about 300 pelicans try to migrate, but they were probably 50 meters above land because they couldn't soar in such weather. The wind is east. There is no thermal condition, but birds are very fast. They want to be in time for their breeding. So this is one of the challenging day for a migratory bird, and also for us, for the people that working with birds that need to be outside in such a warm day. So I wish all of us a great afternoon. I know that our staff around Israel is collecting for us a great selection of birds, migrating local birds, and some of the breeding birds. So have a good day. Have a good afternoon. There's lots of birds, and thank you very much.
So here in the Nili and David Bird Observatory, we've been monitoring birds from the beginning of spring on a daily basis. Birds are on the move, and the first 2 weeks of April are prolific in the amount of songbirds that are passing through Israel. Most of the birds that we monitor here in Jerusalem are songbirds. They are small birds. Usually they migrate unnoticed because the migration is nocturnal. Most of the birds move at night, but as the sun rises, they are searching for places to land and recuperate from the long voyage south of us, which is a desert crossing. That means birds are, that means birds are arriving to Israel in usually pretty bad condition, meaning they've spent most of their energy as they cross the Arabian deserts. And when they reach Jerusalem, which is the first green belt they see as they reach closer to the Mediterranean coast, they see this huge light, which is Jerusalem at night. And in the center, they see this dark area. and they can hear the frogs croaking, that means this is a wetland and there is water and it's dark. That means it's usually green. And as they land, they start funneling their way as the sun rises towards the observatory. This is where we await them with our habitats that have been prepared all winter long. The habitats were carefully planted and managed by our volunteers and our team. And this is basically what we call in the JBO our money time, where most of the birds are recuperating. They're feeding on insects or fruit, or bathing in the Niemann Pond, which I'll show you soon. One of the surprising birds we have in Jerusalem is a wetland bird that migrates in hundreds of thousands during the last 2 weeks. This is a bird that specializes in wetland habitat, lives in reed beds. And here it is. This is the Reed Warbler. And Reed Warblers are little songbirds, very well camouflaged, and also very well adapted in living in reed beds. Look how thin and needle-like this bird is. It actually specializes in needling its way through the reeds. Not only that, it has these unique long fingers that enable it to hold very tightly the reeds upon which it stands and perches on, and climbs up towards the top in order to catch insects, or down towards the water where it collects a lot of larvae. So with this very thin bill, tweezer-like bill, it collects thousands of little insects per day. So you can imagine if 100,000 reed warblers migrate through Israel a day, how many millions of insects are eaten by this little bird? So this is the reed warbler, and it might not be a very colorful bird, but it's very, very vocal. Usually in nature, if an animal is very well camouflaged, it will probably have a very unique and loud call. And the song of the reed warbler is a very loud, insect-like song that can be heard all over reed beds in Israel and northward towards Europe. So this bird is basically on its way to the Danube Delta or to the swamps of Germany, or it might even reach the southern wetlands in Norway. So this is a very special bird that I will release very, very quickly. We have this special window that's designed in such a way that when I release the birds, they're released back into the habitats. There it goes. So this bird is on its way, carrying an Israeli ring. And we expect that 1 out of 2,000 birds ringed or banded, as the North Americans say, will be retrapped somewhere. And the data that we've collected will be shared with our partners in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, the UK, or maybe Asia. And just to give you a good idea of our habitat, Little Niemann Pond, which is an amazing, beautiful pond, Shav. And here, I'll make this short because the signal is not very strong, but you can see behind me the beautiful wetland we have here, designed specifically for the needs of our local and migratory birds. So you would say that this is like a country club for migratory and native birds. By the way, it's been trimmed very nicely by volunteers during the last week. So it's not only beautiful and very attractive for the birds, it's also very attractive for the people who come to our bird hide. And here we have a nice family coming in. בואו תראו את הציפורים עושות אמבטיה, בואו. בואו, כנסו למסתור. כנסו. Live viewers coming in. כנסו, כנסו. כנסו, שבו פה. יש עוד ציפורים? עוד מעט תהיו ציפורים, אבל שבו פה, תהיו את הציפורים עושות אמבטיה בנחל. I've just told them that they're welcome to watch our birds bathing in the little stream. נכון. So we are going to search for more birds, and once we have more birds to show you, who's asking that? We got a question from Michael Klein from somewhere. If we have more hot days during the last few years, the answer is yes. We're getting more heat waves. יכול להיות שנץ הגיע? כן, אולי ניצה, כן, ניצה מצויה, וואו. A sparrowhawk just arrived. תסתכלו, היא באה לעשות אמבטיה, אני בהלם. A female sparrowhawk just came into the bird hide and it's bathing. היא באה לשתות. לבדוק אם זה נץ קצה, יכול להיות...
Amir, I'm going to go to someone else. I'm going to
this might be
Jonathan, and we'll come back to you in the sparrowhawk in a second.
We're going to check out, and yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah. Let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan, hold on, you're muted, but we can go. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yep. You're on the side.
Everyone.
Jonathan, you're on the side.
On the side?
Yeah, you're like...
you know what? Maybe go to Noam and then come back to me. Okay.
All right. Fine. All right. Noam, you're up. No, you're not, because that's still Jonathan. Noam. Where are you, Noam?
Sorry, you caught me already.
And there you go, Noam. Hold on. At this rate, we're going back. Noam. Okay, Noam, we see some birds. You're also upside down, I think. Noam, we see some birds, but you're also upside down.
Yeah, sorry. I'm chasing a beautiful flock here of marsh terns, but they are a bit far away. So I will try, but it will take a minute. Maybe someone take it. I need another minutes.
Fine. Hold on. Nadav has some birds in the north. Let's go to Nadav in the north. Nadav.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm with you.
You're a little bit out of focus, but you're the right way up.
With you in a minute. Okay, we're watching. There's some noise in the background. Someone can mute maybe at the JBO or something.
Yeah. You're by yourself. Yeah, Nadav, we can hear you. Yeah, Nadav, we can hear you.
Hi, this is me. Okay, I just wanted to show myself, and now I'm showing you a couple of turtle doves. I'm at the moment in the Hula Valley, in the north part of Israel. Around me, I can see Mount Hermon in the north. Sorry for that. I want to move the scope a little bit. You're actually now joining me watching through the scope, spotting scope. Yeah, this is why you can see the birds so nice and from up close. And we're looking at a flock of turtle doves. Turtle doves are one of the most beautiful migrating birds we have in Israel. This is the dove that is told about in the Song of Songs, that the cooing of the dove or the singing of the dove is heard in our land. This is just the time when these doves are coming back on migration, from East Africa over the Sahara Desert and back towards breeding here in Israel and in Eastern and Central Europe, also in some of the Western countries in Europe and West Asia, and they come to Israel and they sing. Now, the turtle doves in the last few decades, the numbers of turtle doves in Europe and also in Israel are decreasing dramatically. And maybe Jonathan can talk about it a bit later of what can be done and what is done and will be done to try and tackle this problem of decreasing numbers of turtle doves, mainly due to habitat loss and illegal poaching. And
Nadav, can we leave you? Nadav, I'm going to leave you and go back to Noam, who has lots and lots of birds. Noam, go.
Back to Noam. Yeah.
Noam, go with your flocks.
Okay, so finally we are ready here. It's what you're seeing is a spectacle also for me. Not an everyday show. These are the white-winged marsh terns. They are just arrived from the desert. A few minutes ago, I could see a flock flying really, really high above me. And they decided to use the stopover site, the bird sanctuary of Eilat, to have a small rest. There are about 1,000 birds here, which is a lot of the world population, maybe more than 5%, I guess. And they are just beautiful, black and white in their summer plumage, on their way to their breeding quarters, breeding areas in Eastern Europe. It's considered a rare bird in Europe, very difficult to see one, but here it is. You can see about 1,000 of them just here together.
No, you're a little bit out of focus. No, can you focus up a little bit? You're a tiny bit out of focus.
Yeah,
that's better. That's better. That's better.
Is that better? I'm in very strong light here, and it's pretty windy.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Great. So these terns prefer to be in fresh water, which is pretty unique for terns, and they are migrating really long range. They come from Southern Africa at the moment, and they just look for a place to have a rest for a few minutes, a few hours, and I think they are probably going to move on, migrating north above the desert towards Europe pretty soon. Just a beautiful spectacle here at the Eilat Bird Sanctuary. And, me and some more people are enjoying this very much. It's just beautiful. Just look at it. Black and white, glittery, just great.
Really beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen, I don't think I've really seen a flock so big of that before. All right.
Yeah. Yes, actually, they've been declining pretty sharply in Europe. And in the past, I remember a few years ago, we had a flock of 21,000 of them coming overhead on the 21st of April, about 10 years ago or so. And we stopped seeing this. We stopped seeing them in huge flocks. And this is a good sign. Maybe they're coming back, maybe they're recovering. So here is 1,000. There are still a lot of the population that needs to come through Eilat. I think a lot of the world population pass here. So this is it, the spectacle of Eilat. They're always surprising with migration. It's beautiful. If you want to see something, yeah.
No, what? There are some birds in front. What are the birds? The very well camouflaged light brown birds in front of the terns.
Yes. So these are ring plovers, little stints. These are all migrants that actually come from the Arctics. They are. I'm trying to stabilize. It's super windy here. I'm sorry. So these little birds are actually even more interesting than the terns. These are birds that come from the Arctics. The little stint is actually breeding in the tundra, the northern tundra, and are now making their way from Southern Africa through Eilat towards their breeding areas up north. Their habitats are mainly salty water, which are very scarce. It's a scarce habitat because salty lakes are being dried up around the world. Water is used for human needs, and lakes are not filled. Salty lakes are usually lakes that evaporate. They have no outlet and the water evaporates, seasonal lakes. But this is a very scarce habitat. So here we are actually at a very interesting collaboration with the salt factory of Eilat, of Israel, and they are producing salt and at the same time providing habitat for these little stints, for these ruffs, for ring plovers that really need all these little shrimps called Artemia that live inside this very salty water. So it's interesting and good at the same time. industry and nature conservation in one place, which is pretty unique. And you're actually now watching birds at a salt factory, an industrial industry infrastructure, which is also part of the Eilat Bird Sanctuary. We are working together.
Okay, no, we're going to go to Jonathan, who's the right way up with some, looks like some chicks in Jerusalem. Go, Jonathan.
Hi, guys. Indeed, I'm at the Gazelle Valley in downtown Jerusalem. Really an amazing constructed wetland of urban nature. And I've found a pair of spur-winged, lap-winged chicks. Mom is standing nearby. These guys are basically free walking already. These ground nesting birds leave the nest very, very quickly and start following their parents around. And right at the edge of the water here, I found these two little guys. You can see him now, very, very well camouflaged, but we can see him not too bad against the green background. Spur-wing, lapwing is common all over Israel, but a really cool bird to see, especially in the middle of the city of Jerusalem. In the Gazelle Valley Lake next to me, hundreds of common swifts are coming down to drink. It's a very warm day. I'll try and maybe not use my scope so you can see them in a few minutes. But in the meantime, you can see these two beautiful chicks. See this little guy. Now, mom is standing by nearby because there are hooded crows here. And every time a hooded crow swoops near, mother lapwing puts out a little yelp. And these guys basically flatten themselves against the ground and try to make themselves disappear, because a hooded crow will make a very nice meal out of these beautiful little chicks.
Jonathan, how long did they take to grow up into adults?
Well, these guys within a couple of weeks, they'll be nearly the size of their parents, and within a month they'll start changing into the adult plumage. And truly a fascinating bird, ground nester. Like many waders, leave the nest very, very quickly. They're not helpless like other chicks. You can see very small bodies, but very, very long, strong legs.
Sorry. Well, it's like
and around me in this wetland right now. Go ahead, Lawrence.
No, I said I can think of some adult humans which are pretty useless anyway. So go on.
What I was saying is that the wetland around me is brimming with new life. There's coots here with chicks, mallards with chicks, moorhens with chicks. So it's really an amazing time to be here in the Gazelle Valley, and it's not a given because this is happening right in downtown Jerusalem. Let me try and just show you where I'm at. You can see the tall buildings of the Holy Land Project above the lake. This little valley is, well, we've got some families enjoying the weather and the beautiful day. As you know, today is the first day in Israel that we are allowed to remove masks when we are outside. Don't ask me about the logic behind these decisions, but everyone is really enjoying themselves out here. And I think I'll hand it back over to someone else and try and find something
before we go back,
and a bit later in the evening.
Yeah, fine. We'll come back to you, Jonathan. I'm going to go back to Amir. I don't know if Amir's got any birds, but hopefully he's stopped eating his watermelon. Amir, you're back. Hold on, I'm putting you back. No.
You know, we are in the field, and sometimes we need a cold watermelon just to recuperate. But we had a question, why terns migrate, right? Ellen, why do terns migrate? Well, apparently, planet Earth not only turns around itself, but also around the sun. And it does in such a way that the Northern Hemisphere in wintertime is far away from the sun. And the days are short, everything is freezing. So birds, and not only birds, a lot of animals migrate down to the Southern Hemisphere. terns depend on little fish or larvae that live in water. So when Northern Europe and Northern America freezes, there is no food. So they have to go down to the Northern Hemisphere where they feed, rest, but they do need land to nest on. And in the Southern Hemisphere, we have more seas, more oceans than land. So it's a good policy to go back. It's summertime to nest up in the Northern Hemisphere, closer to the Arctic where days are long, plenty of insects and fish to eat. Now, Eilat's, you know, Eilat never fails, and Noam has a group of very, very interesting and exotic birds that we very much like. Noam, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Amir. And yeah, the usual guests in Eilat, the flamingos, they're also migratory birds arriving from Eastern Africa, from Ethiopia, on their way to Turkey and Iran. These are a bunch of young flamingos. They are yet to become pink. They will have to eat a lot of ratim yet to get real pink, but they have the time. They will be mature, sexually matured in three years or so, 2 years or so. So they take their time and take the migration real slow, every time a bit longer, and they love to linger here in Eilat. They really love the same habitat like the marsh terns, the salt ponds, and they are just filtering the water with their big bill that looks like a box, like a bottle. They just take water into the bill and push with their tongue all the water out, filtering the food, which is right there in the water. And just next to them, you can see there is a large diversity of birds. These are the slender-billed gulls. I think it's not so sharp again. The slender-billed gulls are migrating, and you can see this is a flock of little egrets just resting, getting some rest. You know that south of us is the Sahara Desert, which is a great challenge for the birds to cross. It's warm, it's foodless, it's very long, 2,000 miles of desert. And the first place where they can have a rest, safe rest, without too many people around, with a lot of food, is right here in Eilat. And this is what they do. They come to eat, they come to have a small rest, and they're just sleepy right now. And I bet that in 2 hours, when it gets dark here, they're gonna move on north, pushing to their breeding grounds. They are, in the past, arriving slowly was a good idea for these birds, but with global warming, with climate change, as you all know, springs start early, and they need to head to home for breeding earlier than before. Also, the desert gets pretty tough to cross because of desertification. And this is the picture you get. This looks like pastoralic, beautiful picture, but it isn't. These birds are in pressure. They are in pressure to get home to breed as fast as possible because the time is running, and they need to arrive to Europe earlier and earlier every single year. And these white birds that you see in front are actually Asian. These are the slender-billed gulls going to Eastern Europe and Western Asia. In front of them, you can see the ruffs, little stints, some sandpipers, some ring plovers. As you can see, we are pretty packed here with the bird migration at the moment. And it's beautiful, but at the same time, you can really see the stress in the birds that they really want to move. They're tired, they need to feed, and they will move when they are capable of doing that. It's like a train station. What you see here in this picture are birds that arrive from different parts of Eurasia. Some birds here arrive from Western Europe, and some from Eastern Asia, like some of these little stints and the curlew sandpipers. They come from Eastern Siberia, and other birds like some green shanks and red shanks, they go to Western Europe from here. So it's like a train station where birds meet, have a rest, and continue to migrate to their breeding area which is north. So this is a nice picture from here in Eilat with a lot of birds and a giant diversity of birds. Bird watchers also flock here usually. This time it's only the Israelis. And yesterday we recorded more than 100 species of birds just at the bird sanctuary itself, which is pretty small place. So migration is really a spectacle here right now.
All right, thank you, Noam. I'm going to throw to Nadav, who has something very, very colorful to show us. Nadav, it's up to you.
Yeah, hi everybody from the north end of Israel in the Hula Valley. I just found here 2 bee-eaters, European bee-eaters. European bee-eaters stop here on migration, and sometimes in some places in Israel they also breed. They breed they breed on dirt cliffs. They dig holes in dirt cliffs using their beaks and legs to dig quite deep, up to 1.5 meters, sometimes 2 meters into the dirt cliff. And at the end of this tunnel, they'll build a round room, and the female will lay the eggs there in that room. About 21 days of incubation, and then about the same time, a little bit longer before the chicks can fly. And they're amazing flyers, and they're not called bee eaters for nothing. They actually eat bees and other large flying insects like dragonflies and such. And now there's a couple here landed and maybe found a bee. No, I can't see it at the moment. Let's focus on this one as well. Of course, the bee has a sting to it, so they have to when they catch a bee, they have to make sure they take the sting out. So they keep the bee on a surface. There you go. Now there's this bee eater just caught a bee. Let's try and focus on this one. Is it a bee or a wasp? I'm not 100% sure. You see,
Nadav.
Yeah.
We have an endangered duck in Jerusalem.
Oh,
okay, take it.
Jonathan has an endangered duck. Jonathan, over to you.
Take it.
Thank you. Indeed, I have a Ferrogenius duck. Wow. I was asked to say the names slowly. Ferrogenius duck. Indeed, a bird that is in the world. Here in the Gazelle Valley was the first and only breeding record of Ferrogenius duck in the city of Jerusalem. Now these guys are, Amir, I don't know if any of your team already found breeding at
where's he gone?
Jonathan,
this year, but these guys
we can't hear you, Jonathan.
Possibly here in the
Jonathan, your broadcast is abrupt. If you can keep the scope on the Ferrogenius duck, I can. There it is. It looks like a male. Ferrogenius duck are endangered ducks in Europe and also in the Middle East. They suffer mostly from the degradation and the destruction of wetlands all over the Middle East. You know, we have a big sweetwater problem in the Mediterranean basin and also in the Middle East. Most of the swamps have been drained for agriculture, and Ferrogenius ducks have become very few. So 3 years ago, we actually managed to spot a flock of Ferrogenius ducks that came to Gazelle Valley Park, to the big pond. And April 2018 was the first year we actually observed 12 ducklings that were born and bred in Jerusalem. This was very big news for the species. And from 2018, we've had up to 40 ducklings every spring. And we're expecting any day now to start counting ferruginous ducklings in Gazelle Valley Park. Oh, look at that! He's spreading his wings. A beautiful duck. It's chocolate colored and it's got a white tail. So a lot of people give it a nickname, fudge duck, because it looks like
Amir,
a duck made out.
If you can hear me now, I've got a coot and a chick. This is a Eurasian coot with its young. You can see that it's picking up aquatic material and actually feeding the little guy. Although a common bird, it always amazes me to see them in the middle of the city of Jerusalem. Truly remarkable. There's the little guy following his mom.
Yeah, the wetlands in Gazelle Valley Park have become an amazing magnet for waterfowl, and a lot of people come to watch these birds from the shore of the big lake, and also from our photographer's hide, which is a unique hide that you can actually take photos eye level of the duck. So that's great there. I think, what does Noam, Nadav has something up north. Nadav, over to you.
I have a wonderful little songbird. This is an Autulan Bunting, one of the beautiful migrants. They migrate from Israel. This bird is migrating now back from East Africa to the breeding grounds in Europe. This is another bird that decreases all over its breeding range in Europe and in Western Asia, mainly due to illegal poaching in countries like France and Spain and other countries in Europe. And in France, there is a long tradition of eating Autulan Buntings. Oh, this one just went.
Nadav, just very quickly, it's an Autulan Bunting, yeah?
Autulan Bunting, yeah.
That's an excellent name.
Alan, can you write the name, please, the Q&A or the chat?
It's up.
Thank you. So this one just flew. Sometimes in Eilat, in Good Springs, you can see really thousands of them in the gardens of Eilat, because after they cross the Sahara, and the deserts of Northeast Africa, they arrive to Eilat. That's the first green patch they see after thousands of kilometers of a desert. So they are swarming the gardens of Eilat, trying to find a little bit of food and water before continuing on their migration towards Europe. Now all the beaters are in the air. Something is happening. Maybe a raptor is arriving. I can't see.
There was some confusion about that last name. It's an Autulan Bunting, O-R-T.
Yes, Autulan. Gibton Ganim.
All right. Let's since our Autulan Bunting has flown on.
Yeah, but I have a little bit of some beaters came back, so I can came back with food. If you stay with me for a few seconds, I'll try to find them
actually
again.
Want to go to? You'll find it as it will come. Oh, hold on. Beater's back. Oh, the beater's back with the bee.
Back with bees, yeah. Can you see it? See how he beats the bee?
Oh, Noam has a beautiful bird.
On the metal.
Hold on. Let's stay with the beater, and then we'll go to Noam with his bird.
Okay.
Okay. Bludgeoning the bee to death.
While he's beating the bee to let the sting out, and once he got that, he will swallow it. Oh, he's feeding. Probably a male feeding a female before copulating, and you can go now to Noam.
All right, Noam, you know that. Noam, you're on.
Yes. Thank you. I now went into the other part of the bird sanctuary with the fresh water, just to see this beautiful, beautiful black-winged stilt, Miron, and he's hunting insects in the water right now. There are two of them right here. And this is a different habitat. It's a water that are a little bit brackish, mostly fresh, and completely different food is available here. Some fish and some other wildlife. These stilt's legs are just amazing. They are not just very long and red and beautiful. Looks like some beautiful woman walking on high stilts, but on high shoes, but high heels. But they are also very useful when you have competition. If you remember, just a few minutes ago, I showed you how many birds actually compete on the food in the pond. And this guy has very little competition because its legs are long, and it can go into the deeper water and get the food slowly without real challenge. But it's not the only one in the pond. I'll try to take it a little bit to another place. And you can see there's another guy looking for food right now. That's the little egret. And he's hunting for fish. He loves the fish. You can see he's making very sudden moves to surprise the fish while moving. I'll try to wait for it. Oops, went the other way because the fish went the other way. So they are all the time moving like this, dancing in the water, and they are pretty effective getting fish. It's already in breeding season, breeding plumage. This is why you can see these two little streamers over the head. It's just for being beautiful, which is important also in birds. What always amazes me, this bird is so white and always goes in the water, in the mud, but never gets dirty. It's always beautiful, shiny like a bride, and it's amazing. If I eat, you don't want to see what happens. It's completely different. So this is the little egret. And if we move to the other side of the pool, which is right here, oops, there is a bigger one, bigger guy. That's the gray heron, where it's pretty unstable because of the...
Noam, we have some excellent views of the of the coot feeding its a chick. Amazing close-ups from Jonathan. Jonathan?
Yeah, they're actually very close. There's the little guy. Look at him. You know the story of the ugly duckling. And he's following his mother closely. His mother or his father. Look how beautiful. And the coots, Eurasian coot, basically you cannot separate males and females in the field. So I don't know which of the parents this is, but the little guy is really chasing them, and here's a little bit of a kiss to mom or dad. And they're, I mean, I'm also in quite harsh light looking west, but still I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of action going on here with the spur-wing, lap-wing parents are attacking everything that comes near the chicks. And my whole time here, hundreds of common swifts are diving and drinking from the pool. It's something that's going to be very hard to show, sadly, but really very, very impressive. Hundreds of swifts, both breeders and migrants moving around. And if I'll just swing quickly, just like Noam had a little egret, I also have one right here, very, very close. Look at this breeding plumage with the long crests on their head. And it's hunting as we speak. You know that these long feathers of the breeding plumage of herons is what drove them to near extinction in North America. In North America, egrets and herons were hunted widely for these plumes, which were used for hats of all kinds of high society people. But look at this guy, very beautiful bird with a bluish lures that expose skin before the eye. Truly a beautiful, beautiful bird.
Wow, Jonathan, Noam has a little green bee-eater in Elat.
Go for it.
A very colorful bird. Noam, over to you.
Thank you. So just like Nadav had his European bee-eater, which is migratory, oops, mine is gone too. He went to catch a bee. Maybe he'll be back to the same spot. Let's see. So this is our local bee-eater. It's the little green bee-eater. And I'm afraid it's gone. The bee flew
It's gone, but don't worry, Noam. Noam, it's okay. We have a yellow-vented bulbul or a spectacled bulbul, the JBO mascot. This is probably a female, and I can see that it has a brood patch. So I will hold it for a very short while. Just the beginning of a brood patch, and as you can see, everything about April, last 2 weeks of April are about breeding. So we have ducklings and little food chicks, and we have incubating bulbuls. I'm going to release her very quickly so she can carry on with her job. There she goes. So really, April is all about reproduction, and also the birds that are flying northward towards the northern hemisphere are racing to get territories and start breeding. The sooner they start, the better chances they have to reproduce and migrate south back to the southern hemisphere during fall. Jonathan, back to you. Beautiful views of this egret.
Yeah, he seems to be very happy where he is. He's also cooling down. You can see that he's dipping his breast feathers in the water. Like my friends mentioned, we're in Jerusalem, a rather nice, cool place. But here too, it's well over 30 degrees, 32, 33 degrees. As the sun, an hour before sunset, really unseasonably warm. Just amazing views of this beautiful little egret. You can see he's tossing up the ground with his legs and then hunting.
Jonathan, we are just about to show everybody a beautiful bird that is a very common migrant during April. Keep your eyes on the egret, and if it catches a fish, we'll move back to you. The bird that I'm going to show you now is a very, very famous bird, not because it's a colorful bird, but because it has an amazing song. This is the nightingale. Oh, yes, it's a bit cross. This is a sort of a harsh cry, but this beautiful songbird with its reddish tail is one of the best songsters in the bird world. It has a beautiful, very melodic song that can be heard during the night. That's why it has its name, Nightingale, the singer of the night. And it also is a songbird that specializes in feeding in the undergrowth of trees. So it has a relatively large eye, and it has very, very good eyesight that can operate in dark conditions. So this bird can feed easily in the undergrowth of woodland and swampland, where it usually breeds. This species actually breeds along the Jordan River. And last week I slept in a beautiful place where IOC is developing a new project of wetlands and fish ponds that are being reclaimed for wildlife. And I spent the whole night there, and I heard an amazing concert based on the calls of the quail, the common quail, and the melodic song of the nightingale, which is unique to the Jordan River. So this is the bird, and it will be migrating probably to Southern Europe because our local population is already breeding in the Jordan River. So off it goes. I'll show the kids. Okay, we have some visitors, very curious little kids that are asking a lot of questions. Shalom. עוד מעט אני אשחרר. So this nightingale is back to the wild.
Amir, before you continue, I just want to say a couple of things. There are lots of questions about recordings. Yes, this is being recorded and it'll be available in 24 hours, within 24 hours at www.natureisrael.org/webinars. We've got about half an hour of our show, of our broadcast left today. So if you've got questions, start writing them in the Q&A on the chat, and we'll get to them in about 15 minutes or so. Sorry, back to Amir.
Lawrence, I was asked here by someone if seeing a bird for the first time on our webinars is considered a lifer. For those who are not acquainted with the birding world and the twitcher world, seeing a new species is a big deal. So the answer to this question is no, definitely no. A lifer has to be seen in the field, preferably not in a bird observatory in the hand. There are some discussions if a bird in the hand can be counted. I think not, but it's debatable. In any case, not in the Zoom. You'll have to buy a ticket, come to Israel, watch the birds with us, and I promise you to get an easy lifer of nightingales here in the JBO.
I will say to that we're having a webinar in July about where to see birds, birding tourism.
No,
but let's
Nadav has a
something
unique
amazing.
Bird. Nadav, over to you. Nadav, open your mic.
Yes, you're always so quick to
yeah, it's because your picture is much more interesting than Amir.
To notice the birds I'm finding. This is a purple heron. It's going into the vegetation, but let's try and stay with it for a minute before it disappears. See how it walks. This is a purple heron again, and this is a heron that sometimes hunts outside of the water. Usually herons hunt in the water, but purple herons sometimes. This heron was just walking in this field that was just recently harvested, and this purple heron is walking through the field looking for mainly voles and mice and other kinds of rodents that can be found in the recently harvested field, and she's not looking for fish in the field. And purple herons, it's not a great view of this one, I have to say. Let's try and get a slightly better focus on this one. Purple herons are summer visitors in Israel. They don't spend the winter here. Only small population stays around the Sea of Galilee and in warm places like the Jordan Valley. But most of the purple herons migrate to East Africa to spend the winter, and we do get and in spring they are migrating back, and they also breed around in the Hula Valley, around the Sea of Galilee, and in the Jordan Valley in Israel. I think this one is walking away from me. I can try and get a slightly better. Oh, this is a nice one. See, this one is also in breeding plumage by now, very similar to the little egret. The same family, not the same genus though. Lovely colors on this one. Purple herons bred. I mean, not sure everybody are familiar with the story of the Hula Valley, but it's the same story of wetlands all over Europe, basically all over the world in the last century. In our area, in the Eastern Mediterranean basin, over 90% of the freshwater wetlands were drained, and the Hula Valley being one of them. Purple herons and other herons and other birds, and of course lots of other wildlife used to use the Hula Valley, the Hula wetland as their home. And since it was drained in the middle of the last century, the 20th century, of course, this habitat disappeared, and the numbers of breeding purple herons decreased dramatically in the Hula Valley due to the habitat loss. That's the story. So they are using large reed beds and papyrus beds This is what they need in order to breed, and there are very few of those left still in Israel. So this purple heron has just left my site, so I'm returning the broadcast to anybody else who has something nice to show.
Yeah. So as you can see, a lot of the birds are in full breeding plumage right now. And it's quite an amazing thing to see how birds change their colors along the different months of the year. Birds need to be as colorful as possible towards the breeding season. Males have to look their best as they start courting. Now, many people ask us, how do birds time their courtship feathers into spring? This is a very interesting question because birds have to change their feathers as they braid. Birds feathers are made out of keratin, which is a material similar to our fingernails and hair, and you know that they get damaged. So a lot of birds actually have a molt cycle. Sorry, my Zoom went dark suddenly. So all birds have a molt cycle. And the molt cycle is usually when birds drop their old braided feathers and grow new ones. Birds are divided into two groups. Birds that molt their feathers simultaneously, like ducks, they will molt all their flight feathers at once and they lose their capability of flight. They will take advantage of the fact that they can swim in swamps and they are protected from predators. Others do a gradual molt. They will change one feather at a time. It's usually done simultaneously in both wings, so they can still fly, search for food, escape from predators. Most of the birds will change most of their feathers after the breeding cycle when feathers are worn due to very hard work. Oops, I see Jonathan has a jay. Jonathan?
Had a jay.
No, he's gone.
Had a jay.
So birds will change their feathers during winter.
Had a jay. The jay is gone. But
I'm looking at you, Jonathan. So when you get something good, we'll come back to you. And Noam as well. I see you've had some little birds on the shoreline, but they've also vanished. Amir, do you want to?
Yeah, maybe Jonathan can get us some Levant frogs singing. That would be very nice. They're very numerous in Gazelle Valley Forest.
Do you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Yeah. Noam in Eilat has a sandpiper. Noam?
Wait, yes. Amir, do you know this guy?
Noam's got the sandpiper good. We're just going to listen to Jonathan and the frogs and we'll go to Noam.
Oh, yes, okay. Gazelle, wow.
It's a wood sandpiper. Also pretty.
Sorry, Noam. Jonathan, go. Jonathan, go with the gazelle. Hold on, that's me. My bad.
Amir, do you recognize this female?
If I get a close-up and get a better look at her horns, I might. But since we have 78 gazelles in Gazelle Valley Park, that's Tirza, the granddaughter of Nechama. And she looks pregnant, 5 months into her pregnancy. Not bad, she's looking good. Beautiful. Jonathan, we can't hear you. Can you speak?
I'm not speaking because I'm very close to her. So,
so I'll speak. Gazelle Valley Park is in the middle of the fawning season. Yesterday, we counted at least 3 mothers with fawns. At the moment, we have over 50 females in the park. That's a potential 40 fawns this springtime. That will bring us easily to 100 gazelles in Gazelle Valley Park. It's going to be a record number. We're also planning to start exporting gazelles to nature reserves in northern Israel and in the Carmel Coast. The idea is to use Gazelle Valley Park as a reintroduction center for Israeli mountain gazelles. And the fact that we've been so successful till now, first of all, makes us very proud and also shows that urban wildlife sites can take active part in protecting an endangered species. So this view of a beautiful female, which I see Jonathan.
No, Jonathan's gone, but Noam has something in Eilat. So go, yeah, Noam.
Noam, show us your sandpiper.
Okay, so it's a wood sandpiper. It's an Eastern European bird, also come from pretty far up north. But what I want to show you here is not just the bird. Can you see all these insects on the water? These are flies, water flies, and this bird just picking it one after the other. Pretty easy job for it to get really, really healthy and fat to complete its journey. So here it's pretty much alone. There was a common sandpiper trying to get some of these. The wood sandpiper didn't actually like it and scared it away. So it has the whole lake for itself. It's a small new lake we have just built. Actually, it's not even ready. There is no vegetation around it, just the rocks and the stones and the gravel we put. But the birds don't wait. They don't wait for the site to be ready, and they are coming in numbers to enjoy the insects. The insects are ready-made food for these guys, and it's really having good time. It still has some time, about a month, before its habitat is gonna actually defreeze. So it has the time to migrate slowly. And just now, a flock of swifts arrived. I'm not sure you can see them. I'll try, but you can see the lake now. Oops, here it is. This is the lake. And we are surrounded by tens of swifts. It's actually pallid swifts that are going also to the breeding quarters. Maybe you can hear them. So these swifts are eating flying insects, and they are just everywhere. So this is our new lake. We are proud to put some water through kind of sprinklers, so oxygen goes into the water, and we have a new bridge for visitors. And under the bridge, we made a nice habitat, which is shaded water. So the water rail can be pretty safe down there. It's a completely different habitat. It's the same water, only under constant shade, made by a bridge. So different habitat made by bridge. So this is
Noam,
it from here.
Noam, what's the temperature in Eilat?
Oh, it was today about 100 Fahrenheit, about 38 Celsius. Wow. But southern wind arrived, and it's now maybe 36. It's still pretty warm. I'm not showing you myself because I'm completely sweaty down here. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So this is a picture from the Eilat Bird Sanctuary. Yeah, we are waiting for you to come back and visit. You know, the Eilat Mountains that have been gone for all the day because the wind brought lots of dust, sand. We had the sandstorm around noon, and nothing can be seen. Like everything went blank. You can see, it's like fog, only made of dust. And now it's cleared with the southern wind, and you can see it's getting slowly, the usual beautiful that we know from Eilat. Oh, the swifts are just above. It's hard to see. Okay.
Amir, okay, thanks, Noam. Amir, am I throwing back to you? Amir, what are you doing? Are you going to take people outside? although you're muted, so it doesn't really help. We can't hear you.
Our guys that are looking for birds, I want to show you some of the plant life in April. And one of the common flowers that we grow here in the JBO is the Jerusalem sage. And it's a beautiful flower. And it usually flowers in either very pale pink or purple. And at the moment, they are attracting loads of bees. This is a very important source of pollen for our native bees. And two more flowers. This is the blue sage, an endangered species that grows in Jerusalem and also in the Golan Heights. A spectacular flower. Look at that. Wow. This is the blue sage. And this endangered species grows here in the J. Hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, the hollyhock. These are beautiful late spring flowers. Look at the amount of pollen. So as you can see, we have still a bit of wildflowers to enjoy during the next few weeks. Here you see the honeysuckle, which is also a typical Mediterranean plant that supplies a large amount of nectar to butterflies and also to bees. And a lot of our trees are beginning to fruit. And this fruit will serve all the migrants passing through. And I'm wondering if we have birds in migration feed on nectar and pollen. Bees bees nectar, and they mix them up in their mouths. And this is basically what honey is made of. It's a mixture of, basically it's bee puke of nectar and pollen mixed together, and it's basically food for their larvae. But it has a lot of sugar in it and a lot of other good vitamins. So this is why we like it so much. And it's so sweet, full of sugar. So guys, first of all, I see my friends in Eilat, Hula. Oh, Jonathan has something.
Go, Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan has a close-up of a female gazelle feeding on green grass. Wow, wow. Look how when the gazelle is feeding, it erects its ears and also its head from time to time to watch for predators. And you can see that now when the vegetation is green, gazelles lose their camouflage because they're brown, beige. So they can't blend into the green vegetation. They do become completely, I would say nearly invisible when everything dries out and everything is yellow. Beautiful shot, Jonathan. Can you describe what you're seeing, or you're too close?
I'm quite close. As you can see, I'm completely zoomed out. This beautiful female is about 15 meters from me now. And yeah, she's finally, it's a bit cooler here. So she's really becoming more active now after resting most of the day in the heat. Beautiful.
And she can hear you. You can see she's turning her ears towards you. That means she's aware of you and she's listening to what you're saying. This is the amazing thing about gazelle ears. They can turn 30, 160 degrees to any direction together or differentially. They can listen to wherever they like and they can analyze all the sounds they're hearing. So she's not facing you, but she's aware of you and she can hear everything you say or do, which is an amazing feat.
All right. We've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to say Noam's got one more bird, and then if Nadav could find us another bird as well, and otherwise we'll start answering questions. Noam, with your last bird, and I'll throw you a question afterwards.
Okay, so we are back to our freshwater lake right now in the bird sanctuary, and we are back to our dancing little egret, dancing for fish, of course. Oh, flew off, of course. Just a second, it's landing again. Don't worry too much. And it's a bit stiff here. And it's actually landed in front of our photography hide. So behind this egret, which continues to hunt, of course, you can see a hide where the photographers actually sit under the ground comfortably. It looks like a bar actually, and they can photograph this egret. Caught a fish eventually. Great. So I think it's too big. It's hard to swallow. So the photographers can actually take a photo of this egret from the same level of eye, like looking on its eye from, let's say, about 5-6 meters, maybe 20 feet. So it's a pretty nice experience. And of course, the black winged stilt is behind it. And I want to show you again the habitat. So this habitat is real different. It's a freshwater lake with lots of reeds. And we've built it because during ringing, we noticed that the fat score of reed warblers, how much fat they contain, which means how much food they had, was too low. So we changed a little bit the water here, and now the reeds look much, much better. And immediately we got a response from the reed warblers that have much better fat scores at the moment. They are fatter, they are more ready for migration. And following that, they started breeding here, the reed warblers. Water rail started breeding here. Little egrets, little grebe started breeding here. So completely this habitat has changed dramatically. And I want to show you another thing. This is our bird hide. We are now in our bird hide, and it's a little bit weird. You see, because the material it's built of is actually bamboos. And this bamboos is ticking non-stop. And why is it ticking? It's ticking because it's also an insect hotel. An insect hotel, which means that the bees, the bumblebees, are actually breeding inside these bamboo sticks, producing more and more bumblebees that will pollinate our bird sanctuary and create food for the birds. So this is a living building, a living bird hide for the sake of the birds. And just so quiet, the wind stopped and the swifts arrived. And this is the best time of the bird sanctuary. When things are getting slower, you can see the birds getting ready. A flock of ruffs is already taking off for the night shift, for the night migration. And soon the white-winged black terns will join. A flock of common terns also passed. And it looks like we are going to sleep, but the birds are just preparing now for their journey, the nighttime journey towards their breeding grounds. Pretty exciting
Noam,
for them, I'm sure of that. Yes.
Noam, thank you very much. We have Nadav in the north with a very interesting birds. Nadav, over to you.
Yes, Amir, thank you. You talked about camouflage of the gazelles earlier. I have here with me one of the masters of camouflage, the Eurasian stickney or the stone curlew. It's called sometimes. This is a wonderful bird that nests on the ground with this yellow eyes. Now you know the story of Riding Red Hood. She asked Grandma, "Why do you have such big eyes? Why do you have such big teeth at the end? So why would the stone curlew have such big yellow eyes?" Of course, to see better at night. This one is actually now sitting on the ground. There was a second one here. So these stone curlews have a problem in Israel because they nest on the ground, And they need, of course, a few weeks. See, there's a second one here. You can just see the eye. They need a few weeks of the ground untouched to complete the nesting cycle. And here in the Hula Valley now, over 95, I think, % of the valley floor is being cultivated year-round, 2, sometimes even 3 crops a year. The land never rests, so they have a big problem of where to lay eggs. And there is another. All the ground nesters have this problem. Oh, Amir, what are you holding? Sounds like. Yeah, that's the that's the call of the stone curlew. That's why it's called curlew. Curlew, curlew. This is how they call at night. And they nocturnal birds. They active mostly during the night, feeding on insects. They collect from the ground. Very beautiful, beautiful birds. So I started to tell you that we have for the stone curlews, but mainly not for them, for another species of bird that nests on the ground. They call the collared pratincoles, that also nests on the ground, and they are they are on the red list of birds in Israel. They were declining dramatically, and we're actually renting pieces of land from farmers here in the Hula Valley for the pratincoles to breed there, so they can complete their breeding cycles without being harassed or being touched by the farmers. So we're actually paying farmers to allow the pratincoles to breed, and sometimes within these plots of pratincoles there is a pair or two of stone curlews that also benefit from this deal. Okay,
we have a question for Noam. Noam, if you can answer, where is the water for the Eilat Observatory coming from? What is the origin of the water for the lakes?
Okay, it's actually a pretty cool question because it's a cool answer. So our brackish water is actually a wastewater from the desalination factory, which means the water that they don't use or they wash the filters with, it's actually fresh water with some salt and some other minerals that are staying on the filter. So they just wash it, and instead of just dumping it in the sea, it goes to our lakes. It's great water for fish and for insects, and we enjoy this water. And the other water, the salt water, are actually also kind of wastewater. The same desalination factory has another byproduct, which is very, very salty water. This salty water goes to salt production by evaporation. These ponds that you might see right now, they are extremely shallow, maybe 20 centimeters deep. And the water evaporates pretty fast, and the salt gets very, very concentrated. So again, it's wastewater from the same desalination factory. It's all seawater that go into industrial process, and then instead of just putting it back to the sea with minerals and other stuff, they serve the birds. They serve these habitats. We produce salt out of that. And this is the only water we have down here in Eilat. It's what we drink. In the past, there were some well water, but right now we drink only exclusively on the desalinated water.
Noam, look what Dror, our National Service volunteer. This is Dror. Hi, Dror. Just brought from our habitat. This is a beautiful Levant Chameleon. It's one of 2 species we have in Israel. We have a Mediterranean species and a desert species, which is smaller and more delicate. This is this is a very strong individual. That means it has a lot of insects to feed on. This beautiful reptile has unique finger configuration that allows it to clasp on branches and move very, very safe, in a very safe way on very thin branches. And it also uses its tail as a fifth leg. Another beautiful feature, look how it's changing its color from bright green to dark black, is the fact that when you look at the chameleon from the back, it looks like it has a mouth in its back part of the head. You can't really identify where the biting part is. So you can imagine that if you're a bird and the chameleon looks at you from here, you're not sure if you're going to get bitten by this end too. And believe you me, you don't want to get your finger in. It's all, look at that. The beautiful curlew has risen. Nadav, back to you.
Yeah, I just want to show you he was getting ready for the night. The sun is coming down, and soon this stone curlew will get active. So he's just passing his feathers, walking away from me. Try and find it again. Actually, two now together. Not sure if they're a couple or not, and if they are a pair. He's walking. You can see his long legs. They actually belong to the waders family, like the stilts and the stints and other birds that Noam had, and the Sandpiper. But this is another branch in the family, waders that took a left turn somewhere in evolution away from the water, similar to the spurred wing lapwing and the northern lapwing you might know from Europe. Okay, Amir, back to you. I'm going to do another round to maybe catch another bird.
I'm going to throw it to Noam, but I want to wrap up. Noam, I'm on you, but I'm going to mute you because I want to say goodbye to everyone. But we can definitely enjoy looking at it's like back to the turns again. Thank you everyone for joining us. We only have a few minutes left of our formal program. We may stay for a bit longer afterwards since the birds are still so good, especially in Eilat. And when Noam was worried beforehand that he wouldn't see anything, that it might be our best ever from Eilat. So I just want to mention that there's an amazing article in the Times of Israel about Noam and the Eilat Bird Center. If you'd like to read it, it's on Times of Israel, written by Sue Serkis. I hope I said her name correctly. We're back next week at our more regular time slot of 8 p.m. Israel time, 1 Eastern Standard Time, New York time, with the one and only Professor Yossi Leshem. So if you think we were quick today, wait until next week. I'm sure it'll be a whirlwind presentation. If you want to help us, and if you want to get involved in protecting Israel's bird life, birds which are seen throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, as well as Israel, please join the many hundreds of people who have donated after a webinar. You can do so at www.natureisrael.org. I'll say that again, www.natureisrael.org. You're helping these amazing people who've been with us today and protecting Israel's birds and the rest of the birds on the European Palearctic flyway, so the Eurasian African flyway. And I think there's a few, I've been told there's one more question that we have Amir to answer. But I want to go to Amir, and then I want to throw to Alen, who was on site to see the first ever bird ever seen it, one of the first ever for Israel bird. But Amir, back to you.
Lawrence, thanks very much. Before we wrap up, two things. First of all, we want to thank Tzvika Idor for his amazing support for these broadcasts. Without him, we wouldn't be able to do this great series where we connect to bird enthusiasts all over the world. So thank you, Tzvika. The second thing is a question that came up from Abigail. Abigail asked specifically, where did I start my passion for birds? And like many of us, we started our passion as young naturalists, people that are curious and are enthusiastic with nature around us. We are all curious people, and we're amazed by the rich diversity of nature around us, and we all appreciate nature and we want to protect it. And as we grew and developed, each one of us found his or her way into the birding world, either through science or arts or communications or education. And developing into this world is a fantastic thing. My God, the kingfishers are having a party here. So I hope we've answered you, and I hope we can meet again in another Zoom, or preferably when you come and visit us in Israel in the Nili and David Bird Observatory, the Eilat Observatory, up in the north, in the Hula or Beit Shean Valley, or Magan Michael. We're waiting for you. We hope this lockdown or COVID thing will end up, and we hope to see you back here in Israel again. And I'm going to pass you on to Dan Alon to say a few final words.
Thank you very much for everybody. It was a great afternoon. Thank you, Nadav, for amazing birding as always. Thank you, Noam, for great things from Eilat. This Terns migration, things that you really, if you don't live in Eilat, you see one in a lifetime. So you had really the chance to see this amazing phenomena of thousands of white-winged terns flying through Eilat. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you soon in one of our next webinars. Bye.
Alain, do you want to, Alain, I want to hear about the Chinese, heron.
Okay, so I'll tell you the Chinese heron. First of all, I'm going to share a screen, if that works. And here is the Chinese pond heron. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Lawrence?
just
yeah, okay.
Yeah, you need to go off a bit. Can't see its head.
There you go. So this Chinese pond heron showed up a couple days ago, last week, in the big pond of the Jerusalem Botanical Gardens, amazing everybody. And just in time for our Independence Day celebrations, I think every birder in Israel must have passed through the Botanical Gardens to see what was going on. It's the first time this bird has been seen in Israel, the Arctic region, Europe and the Middle East. And you just never know what's going to show up at this time of year in the migration time. So we're always excited. And I'm going to stop share. We're so happy that everybody here has joined us today. We had close to 400 people online with us today, and we hope to be doing some more presentations in the future. We will keep you all posted. But most important, we look forward to seeing you all here. Birds await, we await, and we'll look forward to seeing you all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, everyone, especially Noam, Nadav, and Jonathan, who are out in the field in the heat. As I said, we'll be back next week. Our more regular slot, 8 p.m. Israel time, one in New York with the one and only Professor Yossi Leshem, who really is like the godfather of Israel's birding scene, and has been a mentor to many of the, I think, all of the people who've been with us today. If you've been with us, I'll probably add you to our email list, and we'll stay in touch with you. Thank you, everyone.
Lawrence, just a quick question. What's making that noise behind me? This is the white-throated kingfisher. No, it's a white-throated kingfisher up in a tree above me. That's the mating call. There, he sounds very plaintive. He's looking for a mate, and she's somewhere around.
But there's also a great tit singing behind you, Alan.
Somewhere else as well. Yeah. Yes, I can hear him as well. But I think the kingfisher's drowning him out. Anyway.
I was going to say the kingfisher's drowning him.
No, drowning noise-wise.
I think that would make a much more interesting documentary if he's drowning him. Anyway, thank you everyone for everyone who's joined us to stay with us to the bitter end. This is the end. Everyone has families to go to. Otherwise, but I'm sure we could do this until the light fades. In fact, I know we could. But until the next Migration Spectacular, we'll be with you. Amir will be back in a few weeks' time with his own webinar. We'll be back at the Gazelle Valley. Jonathan will be speaking about birding tourism over the course of the summer. As we mentioned, we're releasing gazelles into the wild, and we'll have a webinar about that too. There's a lot to look forward to in our spring-summer schedule. So stay in touch. We hope to see you all again next week. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.